you everyone for joining us for our whiteboarding in the classroom webinar. My name is Ellen Connor. I am the product training specialist here at Newline. I help to take care of parts of the Midwest, Texas area, as well as some of the Southeast. We also have Agata on our call as well. She is one of our trainers that helps out on the West Coast. And today she is going to be presenting on the whiteboarding in the classroom and some different applications that she has found that are helpful. Now, before she gets going, I do want to mention that you are muted once you enter. So you don't have to worry about having to unmute yourself. But if you have questions, please ask those in the Q&A button within Zoom. This will give us the ability to see your questions, but as well as everyone else, so we don't get some repeat questions. But as we go along, we will answer those, or we'll take some time at the end to answer those as well. So again, I want to thank you for joining us. And Agata, if you are ready, you can go ahead and take it away.
All right, let me know when you guys can see me.
We do.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Ellen, for the intro. My name is Agata. I am a sales support specialist with Newline. As Ellen mentioned, I covered the West Coast, so I'm out in Southern California. Our job functions are basically the same, so if you guys need anything or have questions, Ellen and I are both very capable to answer those. And today, we are going to talk about whiteboarding in the classroom. So this topic is actually super important, I think, because a lot of times you get this brand new display, sometimes it covers up your whiteboard, or maybe you don't have as much space anymore. So what kind of tools can we use in the classroom when we have something like this? So what you guys are looking at, this is my 75-inch RS. Yes, it is in my living room. It's pretty massive. It's awesome. But we have a couple of different options, and I want to kind of break it down into two sections. The first part I'm going to cover is our built-in internal whiteboard. Now, the built-in whiteboard has a ton of functionality. It's great. It's super easy to use. That's what I love about it. It's one of the first things I teach to anyone that I do training for, but it is an in-classroom tool, right? So this whiteboard is something that you're going to be using heavily when you're in the room. It can be used for all sorts of different things. I'll show you all the different features. And then we have that topic of distance learning. Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty with what is going to happen when school starts back up. So for that, we have a couple of other tools. I actually have 3 to show you today. And those are all web-based whiteboards. What that means is they can be shared to different devices. Other people can actually join in and write on your whiteboards. So there's a couple applications for that when you're using something like Zoom, like we are today, and you want to share your screen directly from the display. So without further ado, let's talk about our first whiteboard that we're going to talk about today. Now, on the home screen of your RS series, you've got some big buttons here on the left. One of them is labeled whiteboard. Could we have made this any easier? I don't think so. The giant button says whiteboard on it. I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. It's going to open my whiteboard for me. Now, a lot of people laugh. I say it's going to open my whiteboard. It opens up in this slate blue. We can change that. I will definitely show you how to do that in just a second. I like this color. It's not quite in your face like the white is, but so once I'm here, you'll notice I actually don't have that many buttons. Why? Again, we wanted to make this super, super easy to use. If I add a bunch of buttons, it's going to look like Adobe Photoshop, and who here knows how to use Photoshop? Definitely not me. So I have my basic tools. I have my pen tools here at the bottom. I can tap, I can change colors and thicknesses, and I can start immediately making my notes. Now, if I want to pick up a highlighter, of course, we have a highlighter as well. I'm going to highlight that note here. Going on, I have my shape tools. So if I need to add a triangle, maybe I want to fill that shape in. Let's do a star in blue. I can add my shapes in as well. Now, next on our list, we have our little lasso tool here. So this lasso allows me to select one object, or I can select multiple objects with it. I'm just going to go ahead and circle this triangle. This gives me the ability to move it around. If I want to make it bigger or smaller, it does have pinch to zoom, just like a tablet does. So if I put 2 fingers on it and zoom out or zoom in, it's going to make that bigger and smaller for me. I can also rotate any of my objects. All you have to do is put 2 hands on the display and spin it around that axis, right? I had a teacher actually use that when they were doing graphing along different axes. So one little application that I've learned. Now, if I want to grab multiple things again, I want all of these, I can move them all around simultaneously. That little lasso tool is there. There is an eraser built in. Now, I don't usually use my eraser because if I take the back of my hand and put it directly on the display, let's put my notes back up here so I can demonstrate one more time. If I take the back of my hand and put it on the display, works just like an eraser. I don't have to hit any buttons. Less button pushing, more time to do what you need to do, right? Wonderful thing about this whiteboard that I really like, it's an enhancement that we made not too long ago, is now we have an endless canvas to work with. So you've been noticing that I'm writing with my very fancy Newline stylus. This is a piece of plastic. There is absolutely no technology in this pen. All it's noticing is that I'm writing with something that has a very fine tip. So if I want to write, I can write. Now, if I need more space, I just take my hand, run it across the display, and you notice I have my endless canvas here. This is something, like I mentioned, we recently built in, and I love it because now I don't have to create more pages. I can just continue with my agenda for the day. So those are a couple of the tools here. There is a clear screen button at the bottom. If I want to get rid of everything at the same time, I can. Now, on the far right side of the display, if I would like to add more pages, I absolutely can. I can hit that plus sign that's going to add a page for me. If I need to add a page with a different background and a different pattern, one of the things teachers love is that I can put line paper on here. So I'm going to hold down my plus sign. You'll notice I get colors and I get patterns. So let's go with a black whiteboard. Kind of weird, right? Black whiteboard. Let's pick a pattern for it. I need some line paper and I need margins. Now I have a black background. I have my margins on the left here. Down here at the bottom, you'll also notice I have a 3 out of 3 because I've created 3 pages so far. I can flip through my different whiteboards. If I tap my 3 out of 3, it's going to show me all of my different whiteboards here. Now, if I want to select these, I can touch and hold and select. From here, I can actually share these out. I can upload them to a thumb drive if I have one plugged into my display, or I can delete them if I don't need to. If I don't need them, I can just get rid of them right there. On the far right corner, we have a settings button. You will notice object recognition is on. That is what allows me to use my hands and this pen simultaneously. It recognizes that thickness difference, allows me to scroll and write. I can turn that off if I need to. I like having it on. I think it's very convenient. I also have default settings. One of the big asks that we kept getting was, can I default this to a certain color and a certain background? That is something that I heard all the time from teachers. So what did we do? We actually built that in for you. If I need to select the default background, I can change my color. I can change my pattern. I can also select what pen and highlighter tools I want right from the get-go. Even if I turn my display off at the end of the day and I walk out of my classroom, when I walk back in the next morning and turn it on, that background and those pen colors are going to be defaulted for me. So super convenient. Again, less button pushing, right? Less time to waste. On the left side here, we have our 3 dots menu. This gives you a couple of different options. So for one, I can throw in an image that is either saved to my display. So if I took a screenshot earlier on the display and I want to pull that in, I can. Or I can actually access the cloud from here as well. If I hit on images and go to File Commander, you will notice that I am already signed into my Google Drive. I had signed in previously. And if I want to pull in an image, I can just tap on it and it's going to pull that image in for me. So this is something that I had uploaded to the cloud earlier, and I can pull that in without having to go anywhere. I don't have to leave my whiteboard to do that. If I hit that 3 dots again, you'll notice I have the option to add text. Once I hit that text button, I can tap anywhere on the screen. My keyboard will pop up automatically. If you have a keyboard attached, you could use that as well. I can add in sticky notes. I can also do a image search. So if I do an image search, it's going to ask me, what do I want to search? Let's do something cute. I love searching dogs on here because they're adorable. So I'm going to grab my puppy here. I'm going to hit that little plus sign. This connects directly to Google. I'm going to make him a little bit smaller just by touching that little corner icon. I'm going to put him up here. And last but not least, I can also search the web. So let's say I'm doing a lesson of some sort and I need to grab a definition real quick. Instead of jumping over to the PC, going online, figuring out what that definition is, saving it to the cloud, I can actually do a web search right here, type in a query just like I did with that dog, and then I can snip that definition and insert it into my slide. So as you can tell, we tried to make this robust, but also super easy to use. I have my limitless canvas. I have my image tools. I have my different web searches that are available. Another great thing about this whiteboard is everything saves automatically. I don't have to hit any buttons. this is all going to save to my panel for me. So if I'm done for the day and tomorrow I need to upload that to Google Classroom, I can go ahead, go into my Google Drive, pull those things in there, and then I can upload them to Google Classroom if need be, or I can email them out to a student that was out sick. So you do have a lot of options. Again, this is all about simplicity. So this whiteboard, I love it. It's a great first step. Does anybody have questions on that? I know I kind of went a little bit fast, but not that many buttons down here, so hopefully you guys are able to follow along. Ellen, do we have anything so far?
It looks like there aren't any questions so far.
So that's really a good sign for me. That means that the whiteboard is exactly as easy as I think it is, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to jump over to my PC. So I do have an onboard computer plugged into this display. And now let's talk about some other whiteboarding options. That built-in whiteboard is great, but again, I think that's more for an in-classroom use, right? That's when you have students in your class in the room. Let's jump into a couple of other things. So in Google, I actually have two digital whiteboards. One is more of an endless canvas. The other one is more of a presentation builder, but I want to show you both. These are accessible through your Google account by just using this waffle menu once you're signed in. This is my Google Drive that we're looking at. Once I'm signed in, I touch my waffle menu. If you scroll down, you will notice two options, Keep and Jamboard. If you haven't heard of these before, I highly recommend you check them out. They're actually really, really great. I'm going to jump to Jamboard real quick. I created an untitled jam is what they call it. So this is my first one. If I want to create more, down here, I have this little plus sign. So I'm going to go ahead and open this one up. This is something that I created just a little bit ago. I went ahead and changed the background just because I like that blue color a little bit better. Up here, you see you have the backgrounds option. So if I want line paper or grid paper, if I want to make it black, I can. Again, I like Jamboard because it's very, very simple. If I'm doing a presentation via Zoom and I'm sharing this screen, I can write all over this canvas and whoever's on the other end will be able to see all of my annotations, all of my different notes. On the left side here, let me move my toolbar out of the way. On the left side, again, it doesn't have a million buttons. One thing that I really like about it. If I tap on my pen tool, I do get different types of pens here. I do get different colors. So if I need to write on the screen, create my agenda for the day, I can do that. If I need multiple slides, let's say I run out of space, I can create a slide too. Go ahead and change that background as well. As always, you do have your eraser button. And you also have a couple of other tools. If I want to throw in a sticky note, just like I can on my regular whiteboard, I can put in my sticky note. You'll notice my keyboard pops up automatically here. I can change colors on it, and I can type if I need to. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. I can also do the same thing as I can on the built-in. I can throw in images. So either images that are saved to my computer. If I need to upload, I can just drag an item in here, or I can select a file from the device that I'm using. So whether you're using an onboard PC or you have your laptop plugged in, you can actually just pull those files directly in from your device. I can do a Google image search. What would Google be without it? I can pull in images from my drive. Remember that Earth that I pulled in earlier? And then any recent images and things like that, or photos that I have saved. It's going to tell me I don't have any photos, unfortunately, but so you guys can see a lot of that functionality is built in here as well. I can pull in these images and I can make my presentation a little bit more fun. One of the things that I actually really liked about this is if you're thinking about doing a presentation in here or writing your agenda, or you want to highlight something, there's a little laser pointer, which doesn't seem like much, but if you want to draw attention to something, I can circle it and it's going to do a little laser for me. Traditionally, laser pointers don't work very well on LCD screens, so maybe I'm just a little funny, but I think this is a really cool option. Now, if I want to share this out, I can. If I hit the share button, it's going to give me some options. It's telling me I can share a link if I want to. So I'm going to go ahead and change this. Anyone with this link now can view my board. I can hit copy link, and now I can email that out, or I can upload it somewhere, wherever it needs to go. I can also export these. So if I hit my three dots menu, you'll notice I have the options to download as a PDF. What that'll do is that'll take all of my slides, it'll download them for me. And then if I need to upload that PDF or share that PDF, I have that with me as well. Up at the top, if I touch on my 1 and 2, you'll notice that it just shows me both of my different slideshows there. So that's Google Jamboard. It's actually super simple, but again, when you're using that distance learning and you're sharing your screen via Zoom, this is a really good feature to have. Ellen, any questions for me?
No, no questions. I did want to add on though, because Google Jamboard is part of the G Suite, you can also add your Jamboards to Google Classroom. So you can share those out with students as well, and they can edit and add content too.
Ellen, I think we just lost you for a second. You said it's part of G Suite, so.
Oh, there we go. It's part of G Suite, so you can also add your Jamboards to Google Classroom for your students to see as well, and they can create content on there too.
That is exactly right, and I did forget to mention that. Now, second thing that I want to show you within the Google environment, again, click your waffle menu, go down, you'll see Google Keep. Google Keep is a little bit more robust, I think. So it allows me to take a note. So if I want to create a note, I tap in there, it's going to let me write. But I like the little draw tool right here on the right side in the middle. There is a draw button. This gives me another canvas. Again, there are kind of we always joke there's 6 million ways to do the same thing on these. So you got to find what works for you. But you'll notice at the top, I do have my pen tools. So I can make my agenda. One thing I love about Keep is it makes my handwriting really pretty. It's a very smooth writing experience, but it also has that same object recognition we were talking about. So now, if I need to add more canvas, I can slide up. We can talk about note number 1 for today. We can talk about note number 2 for today, and I'm never going to run out of room. So, as with every whiteboard, I have all of my regular pen tools here. I can change colors and thicknesses. I have highlighters. I have all sorts of different tools. I also have a couple of different backgrounds. This is not quite as robust as what we have going on in our internal whiteboard, but I can add line paper. If you are doing something with handwriting, this is kind of important, right, to have that line paper. Oh, I switched to a highlighter. But everybody loves being able to throw some line paper on here. So I do have backgrounds here as well. Now, on the far right, you will notice I do have the export button, so I can export this with it as an image. And if I go back, here's my note that we just created. At the bottom here, you'll notice I'll have a couple of other tools. One that I really like is this little human icon with a plus sign. I can actually invite collaborators directly into this board. So if I have my students and I have their email addresses, I can actually put in people's email addresses, invite them, and they can collaborate with me simultaneously. So if you have kids that are at home and you want to invite them, maybe you throw something on here, you want them to answer a math problem for you, they can actually do that from their end and it will show up here, which I think is really neat. So again, Google Keep, Google Jamboard, they're kind of functionally the same. This is great for when you're doing Zoom meetings and things like that with the distance learning, and you can invite collaborators. You can upload it to Google Classroom, like Ellen said, so other people can write on whatever you are creating. All right, again, pretty simple, pretty straightforward starting out, right? So those two are in the Google environment. So if you're using Google, you absolutely have access to those. Last one I want to talk about is a little bit different. This is Microsoft Whiteboard. So anybody that has a Microsoft account, even if it's not an official O365 account, you can download this for free. It does come as a desktop app from the Microsoft Store. And you can just sign in using your Microsoft email if that is something that you want to do. Again, that's not something that you have to pay for. You can create a free Outlook account and you'll have access to this. So you will see all of my different scribbles that I've done while presenting the Microsoft Whiteboard. I actually created one earlier today, and I want to show you guys something really cool. We were talking about being able to add collaborators, right? So here is everybody that's on my internal contacts list. They automatically pop up for me. If I go up here, you guys will notice that I already invited Ellen into my whiteboard. So if I write on this and ask Ellen to contribute, Ellen, are you in front of your computer by chance? There you go. So Ellen can actually collaborate simultaneously, just like I can with Google Keep. Ellen can collaborate simultaneously with me because I invited her in. You guys noticed there was not a whole lot of delay. She was able to write. It popped up with her little name right there. So I think that feature is really cool. All you got to do, again, go to that plus sign and you are able to add people. Now, Microsoft Whiteboard is going to be a little bit more robust. It has a few more buttons than the other ones we've seen. Obviously, we have our pen tools at the bottom. I, for some reason, love this glitter pen. I think it's fantastic. We do have the zoom in and out. So if I want to zoom in, zoom out, I can pinch and zoom. Google Keep also has that feature. You'll note, you guys probably have noticed, this does have object recognition built into it. So I can pick up my pen and write, and I can slide with my hands, just like I could on the other two whiteboards. I have a couple of other cool tools on here. I have a ruler, which actually measures my angle. So if I want to draw straight lines, I can turn this. I'm going to go 90 degrees. And we can talk about lines in that way. It does have the lasso tool. It does have your text tools. It does have sticky notes that you can throw in if you want to type. I can throw in images, and I can actually add files. So let's scroll down my whiteboard. If I want to insert a PDF or a Word document or even a PowerPoint, I can do all of that. I'm going to drop in my favorite PDF called Mastering the Use of Adjectives. Pops up on the right side here. It asks me, this is only one page, but it asks me which pages do I want to insert. I'm going to go ahead and insert all because there's only one. I'm going to grab this guy. I'm going to move him over here. And now we can write directly on top of our PDFs. So you can do that again with PDFs, PowerPoints, Word documents, etc. I can also pull in images if I want to, just like I can on the other whiteboards. If I touch and hold, you'll notice I have some buttons here. I can throw in images that I already have saved to my computer. Let's throw in, oh, that one's a little big. Let's throw in this X-ray real quick. And I can make that bigger if I want to. Turn it over a little bit. And there we go. And then I can write directly on top of that in my glitter pen. Now, on the right side here, I do have a 3-dot menu. If I tap on that 3 dots, you'll notice I have a couple of other tools. I can export this. So if I want to export this as an image file, and then I need to upload it to Google Classroom, I need to send it out via email, I can absolutely do that. I can export here. I can change my backgrounds. You'll notice I have a couple of different colors, and I also have a few different patterns here at the bottom. So if we need line paper, again, everybody loves line paper. So I can throw some line paper on here. We can zoom in a little bit if we need to make it bigger so that people can actually write on it. And then there's a couple other things I want to show you. So we have that object recognition built in, but 2 other cool things that this has is it has something called ink to shape and ink to table. So if I want to draw a triangle, Microsoft's automatically going to pick up that triangle for me, and it's going to correct it for me since I can't draw straight lines. If I want to draw a square, it'll do that for me. See if I can get a circle. There we go. Not too bad. So I can draw shapes on here, and it auto recognizes those for me. And it also does tables, which I think is awesome. If I draw a square and then I draw a line through it, it's going to pick up a table. I can add more columns if I want to. And the nice thing about the table is it actually spreads out as you write. So here is going to be column A. You'll notice the table widens automatically. Here is going to be note 1. Again, less button pushing. You notice I haven't really hit any buttons. All I'm doing is I'm drawing, and the board is reacting to that. So I can draw in my notes. If I want to select my note and move it, I can. It picks up the entire object just by me tapping on it. Whoops. Or if I draw. There we go. Again, it does have that erase feature. So if I want to erase some of my scribbles that I've done, let's zoom out a little bit because I've completely lost myself. I can just use the back of my hand. I can erase my notes. I can erase Ellen's notes that she added in. And then the other cool thing is if I go backwards, this will actually auto sync and it will auto save. So again, no save button to push. If I access this from another device and sign into Microsoft Whiteboard on another device, I will have all of these whiteboards with me. So even if you grab your laptop and take it home with you, you'll be able to access those from home, upload them, or share them out if you need to. All right, so the whiteboarding is very, very important. There's not a whole lot to it. It's pretty much the first thing that all of us teach is these different forms of whiteboard. When I'm on the PC, I can use this in conjunction with Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, share my screen, so anybody on the other end is able to see that and they're able to see my notes on top of it, which I think is going to be really, really important right about now. Ellen, did you have anything else to add?
No, but there were two questions. The first one was, do either of the Google Whiteboard options allow you to bring in PDFs and write on them?
Let's see. I want to say you can bring in documents to Google Keep. Oh, those are good documents to bring in. Let's go to training materials. So it does have a file limit. So you're going to be a little bit more limited on what you can upload to the Google Suite because it limits the size of those files. Ellen, do you know if Jamboard is able to pull in documents specifically? Because I don't think it can. I know it can do images.
I was going to say, I believe it's just images that it can pull in.
Yeah, so these are going to be a little bit more limited. If you have something that's smaller, it'll be able to draw that in for you, but otherwise, it's not going to be able to do quite the same thing as Microsoft Whiteboard can.
And then the other, actually two more questions. Is the Microsoft Whiteboard apps available on Chromebook?
Ooh, so Microsoft Whiteboard can be accessed online. So if you don't have it downloaded, so I actually have it downloaded to my Windows PC, which gives me the object recognition. That's going to be the only difference. I can access Microsoft Whiteboard by logging in online on a Chromebook. So if you open up your Chrome browser and go to the Microsoft Whiteboard, or somebody sends you a link to a Microsoft Whiteboard, you'll be able to open that from the link. It just won't have that object recognition with the pen and the touch. Now, if you're thinking of that in terms of, I want to invite students into my whiteboard and they all have Chromebooks at home, absolutely you'll be able to do that. But they will need some kind of Microsoft account to be able to sign into it. So keep that in mind. You'll have to give them the way to access that as well.
Great. And then the last one, as far as accessing Microsoft Whiteboard, is there another way to access it besides, downloading the app or online? Do they have other ways to find that on your computer?
I don't believe so. It is something that you have to download from the Microsoft Store. It is a free application. Again, it doesn't come with a cost of any sort, but you would have to go to the Microsoft Store to get that if you want it downloaded here. As far as online, again, you can just access Microsoft Whiteboard through the Chrome browser without any kind of download, but you would need an internet connection and you would need a browser to do that.
Okay. And then I got it, lastly, just my point. Do you mind sharing Microsoft Whiteboard, the little Windows Ink Workspace button? Just to show them another way to find that.
So in any Windows 10 computer, you have something called the Windows Ink Workspace built in. If you don't see it, go down to the bottom of your taskbar where there is no icons, so where there's some gray space, and on the panel, you would touch and hold to right click. With your mouse, just right click on it, and you will see a Show Windows Ink Workspace button. It needs to have a little check mark next to it. So mine's already up down here, and you'll notice I have the technical term for this is the pen with the squiggly line. I have the pen with squiggly line icon. If I tap on that, I get two options. One of them is the whiteboard, and the other one is a full screen snip, which just takes a snapshot of whatever you're doing, but you can access Microsoft Whiteboard from there.
Perfect, thank you. So I'll check one more time if there's any more questions here. And I think we are good on questions. So I want to again thank everyone for joining us for our Whiteboarding in the Classroom webinar. Agata, thank you for sharing all of those great tips. I learned something as well that I'm going to take back to my customers as well. But again, this is being recorded, so feel free to check out our YouTube page in a couple of days and you'll be able to test this out on your panels. And then if you have any questions that come up along the way, please reach out to your Newline sales representative and we can help you out as well. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody. Have a good day.